What is up, Janksters? It's your boy Graham, also known as HamHawks42 on the internet, and today we're going to be discussing March of the Machine. Specifically, I'm going to take some experience that I now have playing the set, special thanks to the Early Access event. I'm going to explain and kind of talk through 5 cards that overperformed. 5 cards that I was genuinely surprised by, that where my opinion changed of the card as a direct result of getting an opportunity to play with them. There were some underperforming cards as well, and some ones that I wasn't as impressed by, and some that I thought were going to be bonkers that turned out indeed are in fact bonkers. Fun fact, Atali is exactly as busted and dumb as I wanted him to be. Yeah, no surprises there really. The card's insane. But today we're going to be talking about the 5 overperformers that had me really shocked and kind of jazzed. So this is based on my experience. I have no doubt there are plenty more out there, and a lot of them that are probably still flying under the radar that we're going to be discovering as we get to brew. I got an opportunity to brew for a 24-hour period that Wizards gave access to streamers. Huge thank you to Wizards for making that possible. It was an absolute blast. And so be aware, this is just based on my experience, and these are my opinions. So that said, if I don't touch on one that you think is going to be fantastic, or maybe you participated in the event, or by the time you're watching this, have had an opportunity to play with some of the cards, and there are some that are taking you by surprise, and you want to share those, please do in the comments. I'm very much intrigued. The design of this set seems very powerful and very fun. We're seeing a ton of designs that are very unique, and I love that. So as a result, there's all kinds of stuff that you can do. The amount of brewing potential in March of the Machine is just through the roof, and I adore it. So let's get started with the 5th card that I found the most kind of surprising in just how strong it was. And that is Invasion of Karsis. So Invasion of Karsis is a battle. It has 4 defense, 2 red. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 3 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. And then, when you defeat the battle, it flips into the Refraction Elemental, which is a 4/4 with ward, pay 2 life. Whenever you cast a spell, Refraction Elemental deals 2 damage to each opponent. This card was, like, the reason I'm surprised by this is because on its face, that ETB is not particularly strong. The damage doesn't hit battles. If it did, holy cow, it would be so much better. It's not even funny. It only deals 3 damage, although if it did, it would hit itself, which would be kind of gnarly. So it would have to have a way higher defense. But in any event, 3 damage to creatures and planeswalkers is a good amount if you're at 3 mana. Like, Brotherhood's End is a very good card. This is basically that at 4, plus you get the battle. So it kind of comes down to, like, well, okay, how good is the flip? Like, is it really worth it? Because by the time you're casting, like, if you take your turn 4 off to play a board sweeper, it better sweep the frickin' board. Like, that's Wrath of God turn. That's where you need to end it for your opponent. You have to completely cut out their setup. This will take a good hit out of it, but maybe not destroy it, because there are plenty of 3 and 4 drops that absolutely survives this. So it's not even hard. In green right now, no problem at all. Sheoldred just shrugs this off, you know. So in any event, that 3 damage, that board wipe, it can be good against aggressive decks. Mono red, you're going to hit them with this. Soldiers, you're going to wreck them with this. Selesnya Toxic, you're going to get some good hits with this. But in general, yeah, I found it was good to, and it also sweeps up mana dorks if your opponent's ramping that way, so that's kind of nice. But where the rubber really met the road, in my experience, was the Refraction Elemental. Once this thing hits the field, the amount of damage you will be able to put directly onto your opponent is going to be backbreaking for them. You can also leverage this with Mechanized Warfare to phenomenal effect. Because you'll note, this says whenever you cast a spell, with effects like Prowess, you need to cast, or the Third Path Iconoclast, or the Monastery Mentor, those effects you need to be casting non-creature spells. With the Refraction Elemental, you just cast spells. You put a creature down, bam, you're shocking your opponent's face. You then cast a Consider, you shock your opponent's face. Put down an enchantment, shock your opponent's face. Whatever it is you're doing, you're just shocking your opponent's face. So as long as you have some action in your hand late in the game, get this moving, pop, 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 go crazy. Like, in a Spellslinger style deck where you have, you know, where you're doing like some prowess stuff, which is very well supported in standard right now, this is really powerful. Like, if you can get this thing to flip, it's bananas. And on top of that, you're in red. Dealing 4 damage to a battle in red is not hard. Doing direct damage to pop this Very doable, very easy. Well, it's actually one of the massive advantages of red as far as battles go. Even something as simple as lightning strike or play with fire becomes excellent because you can defeat battles at instant speed. On your opponent's end step, you can hit this thing with a burn spell, flip it over, untap with a 4/4, play all your stuff, nug them for, you're just shocking them with this machine gun, and you got a 4/4 online that maybe can swing in for some additional damage. Yeah, it's very powerful. I was surprised at how well it lined up. Granted, this was early access, which is kind of a unique environment, so who knows how it's going to play out on the battlefield in the current standard meta. But honestly, I was impressed. I was shockingly impressed. All right, next up, number 4, most surprising card, or card that took me by surprise anyway. Grafton Butcher, 2/2 Phyrexian Samurai for 1 and a black. When Grafton Butcher enters the battlefield, Phyrexians you control gain menace until end of turn. Other Phyrexians you control get +1/+1, and you can pay 3 and a black, sacrifice an artifact or creature, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. This card is awesome. I don't know what else to say. Well, no, I'm gonna say plenty. But Grafton Butcher took me by surprise because I did not expect Phyrexian aggro to be a viable archetype. And in the early access event anyway, it ran me over a number of times. There were, I saw Orzhov variants of it that were running like things like Crawling Chorus and some of the other, there were a couple of the Incubate cards that created Phyrexians, and then when you have Incubate tokens lying around, they transform into Phyrexians. And so if you have those just chilling and you have excess mana, them all of a sudden flipping over and adding themselves to the fray with like pseudo haste because they've been sticking around for a while is like, it's way better than I thought it was going to be. Like, it plays significantly stronger than I thought. Also, fun fact, Gix is a Phyrexian. So as a result, there's a 3-mana Toski that can buff this up. And when the Grafton Butcher ETBs, the Phyrexians also gain menace, making them... So you have a Lord effect and an overrun in the fact that it gives your entire squad evasion all on one card, and it recurs itself. So Grafton Butcher really ties that archetype together in a really fascinating way. And I was also just genuinely shocked at how good that archetype is. So Phyrexian aggro that doesn't even rely on toxic might be a thing moving forward. Like, be aware of that. Keep an eye out for it. Because, yeah, this card's incredible. Yeah, I was impressed. And again, I got ran over by it a number of times during early access. So good work, everybody out there running that deck. All right, next up, my third most surprising card, and this is Volcanic Spike, which, to be honest, the fact that I didn't call this one was really just me not opening my eyes, because of course it's great. Fire Prophecy was great back in Ikoria, so why would Volcanic Spike not be great here in March of the Machine? It's an instant for 1 and a red. It deals 3 damage to target creature, planeswalker, or battle. You may put a card from your hand on the bottom of your library if you do draw a card. Being able to load the bottom of your library is one of those effects that in 90% of cases, all you're gonna do is take a card that is not situationally relevant in your hand and cycle it away. Put it on the bottom of your library, draw something else. However, in combo decks that are running things like the Chaotic Transformation, or Indomitable Creativity, that kind of thing, where you have like a 1 or 2 of that you want to spin into with kind of those transmogrify effects, and it is stranded in your hand, being able to pay 2 and tuck it away is kind of amazing. This also being able to, it's also just Lightning Strike. This is just full-on Lightning Strike with that upside, with one downside in that it can't hit a player. But, for 2, you can remove any 3 toughness creature or less. You can instant speed pop battles, and you can take out a lot of planeswalkers that are in the current meta with this. So 2 mana instant speed removal, that can help you flip your battles and smooth out your draws. This thing looks amazing, like absolutely amazing. Yeah, any combo decks that care about the bottom of your library, definitely, or care about having cards in your library, like specific cards in your library. There aren't too many ways in Magic. Like, if you need a card in your graveyard, there are a million ways to get a card into your graveyard. But if you need a card in your library, it's a little trickier. And this is a quick way in red to do it. So I like that. Yeah, this card's great. Yeah, and again, I should have saw it coming. All right, now the next one is a card that I thought was going to be good, but it overperformed. It smashed my expectations and fit into multiple archetypes that I was able to play on early access, and it just was nothing short of fantastic. And that is Iara, Widow of the Realm. This card is great. It's an elf noble, 1 black for a 3/3. Tap, sack another creature or artifact. Iara, Widow of the Realm deals X damage to target opponent or battle, and you gain X life, where X is the sacrificed permanent's mana value. So if you have a creature or an artifact in play that has like affinity of some kind that got it onto the battlefield, like if you had a Mirror Enforcer that was totally free when you threw it down, yeah, you can sack it and blam your opponent for 7 or pop a battle and get it flipped like straight away. This also, if it doesn't have haste, unfortunately, but it is a sacrifice outlet. So there were 2 decks that I used this in during early access. One was a Mardu deck that I called Slot Machine. It was leveraging Kroxa and Kunaros, Atali, and Jero and Hazaret to get just free spins. And so it just, when I was just free casting and freewheeling like crazy, and those 3 cards, depending on how you sequence it, can like get each other onto the battlefield in different ways. So it was kind of like crazy and weird, and as a result, in a given turn, a lot of the time I would get like 30 or 40 mana worth of stuff online in one go. Well, that deck cares about legendary creatures, and it's in black. IR is great for that. It gets you a legendary creature online. It also works beautifully with the backside. So you can pay 5 and a Phyrexian red to transform Iara at sorcery speed, and you get Iara Furnace Queen, which is a 4/4. At the beginning of combat on your turn, return up to 1 target artifact or creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile at the beginning of the next end step. So you get this, you get a 1-shot reanimation on something with haste. That's excellent. So it's a 3 mana creature that for 5 mana and 2 life can flip into something that can reanimate at the beginning of combat on every one of your turns. So if you have an Atali, an Atraxa, something big and crazy in your graveyard, all of a sudden it's live and online and jamming, and that's incredible. And again, in the deck where I had Kroxa that had an ETB and an attack trigger, Jero and Hazaret that had an attack trigger, Atali with an ETB trigger, that were all gigantic bodies, being able to tee that up was just fantastic. Additionally, legendary creatures like this that transform are especially cool because once they've flipped over to their back face, you can play another copy that you have on the front face because they have different names. You can have a copy of Iara, Widow of the Realm, and a copy of Iara, Furnace Queen on the battlefield at the same time. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. So that's pretty cool. Like, it's just a really good role player that does a lot. Oh, the other deck that I had this in didn't care about the back face at all, but it leveraged the front face as a sacrifice outlet for Hidetsugu and Kairi. So if you're doing the Explosive Singularity Hidetsugu combo, which is just 20 damage directly to your opponent's face, as long as you have a sacrifice outlet online, Iara sequences into that perfectly. If you have Iara down and she survives, you play Hidetsugu, you get the Brainstorm effect. You load Explosive Singularity on the top, tap Iara immediately. She puts an ability on the stack that is going to dome your opponent for 5. Then Hidetsugu and Kairi trigger, hit the Explosive Singularity off the top, blast them for 10, you drain them for 10, and in that case, you've done 20 damage to them. If they have done anything to gain life, Iara, Widow of the Realm, might be able to give you that last little bit by doming them for an additional 5. So if you're doing that combo, this is actually a really good way to add an additional nail in the coffin to make sure it's enough. So yeah, and it puts the sack outlet online that you need in order to pop it. So honestly, every part of this is one of those cards. This is kind of, well, there's a raptor in the set that actually functions like Questing Beast, but I would say Iara and Questing Beast are similar, not just because they're both from Eldraine, but also because there's a ton of text on it, and all of it is good. Like, every piece of this card I like, top to bottom. Yeah, I just think it's genuinely excellent. So yeah, don't sleep on this one. All right, and number 1, the best card that took me by surprise in this early access is actually an uncommon, believe it or not. This flew under my radar by being a lower rarity card in a color that I'm playing more and more these days, but I don't play super often. That just, I don't know what to say other than it genuinely floored me, and that was Surge of Salvation. And for the record, it looks like I'm behind the 8 ball on this, because I'm seeing this particular uncommon is pre-selling for like $2, which you don't see unless people know it's good. So maybe I'm in the minority and being surprised by this one, but it's fantastic. Surge of Salvation, 1 white, instant speed. You and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. Prevent all damage that black and or red sources would deal to creatures you control this turn. So this card reads like a color hoser. Like when you first look at it, you're thinking, oh, maybe as a sideboard card against black and red decks, this is going to be good. And one, yeah, okay, that's fine, because there are a lot of black and red decks running around out there right now. Like, Fable and Mirrorbreaker is a heck of a card. Black is one of the strongest cards in Standard, or one of the strongest colors, if not the single strongest color in Standard right now. So, sure, like, that's great. But the truth is, the number of cards, or the number of spells that exist, or the number of abilities, effects that exist that target is massive. This counters all of them. Doesn't matter what color it is. So if your opponent has like a Planeswalker alt, granted, the examples that I can think of all off the top of my head end up being black, but because just black is very powerful right now. But like this, for 1 mana, counters an Invoke Despair cleanly, because Invoke Despair says target player, sacrifices the things and the process begins. It starts by targeting you. Well, for 1 white, you gain hexproof. You're no longer an eligible target. The effect fizzles. Boom. Dunzo. They tapped out on their turn for 5 to bust up your board and draw some cards. They get nothing for 1 white. Incredible. If they get to a point where they can ultimate their Liliana, or they downtick their Liliana to try to kill one of your things, boom. Surge of Salvation. Those effects don't resolve. Unfortunately, Sheoldred's Edict still gets around it, just because Sheoldred's Edict says each opponent sacrifices. It's not targeted. So Surge of Salvation is not going to help you there. Be aware of that. But anything that's targeted, like if you're going up against mono red and they're just going straight for your face, this is brilliant. Like it prevents any burn from hitting your face, and your little 1/1 Spiriting Companions can now freely block their like 4/4s coming in. You don't care, because all that damage is prevented. So also note, it prevents the damage to your creatures. It does not prevent the damage to your face. So if they are attacking and you do not have blockers, even if those creatures coming in are black or red, this does not stop that damage. Be aware of that. It's not a fog if you're going up against black and red, unless you have blockers. If you have blockers, they become incredibly powerful for this. But yeah, all in all, I was shocked by this card. It gives me Veil of Summer vibes. Which, when Veil of Summer was ban-worthy, it was so strong. It was effectively a green counterspell that hosed black and blue. And it had very much the same kind of vibe of just being like 1 mana, everything you want to do is just no bueno this turn. And the fact that it's you and every permanent you control is wild. This is absolutely wild. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. This card is shockingly incredible, and it's not a sideboard card, in my opinion. Like, in many, many decks, this can be main deck. And honestly, in the early access, I played a Jeskai prowess deck that was leveraging Third Path Iconoclast and Monastery Mentor, because Monastery Mentor's back. I'm going to take advantage of it. And Surge of Salvation, I put it as like a 2 of. Honestly, if I were to revamp that deck, going into the standard ladder, I might have 2 in the main and then 2 in the side. But if I was doing best of 1, I would seriously consider putting 4 of these in the main. They're fantastic. And on top of that, it's just an instant speed spell for 1. So if you have prowess triggers, you're going to get those triggers off this. So honestly, I'm blown away. It's excellent. Surge of Salvation, just beautiful. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for checking out the video. I appreciate it very, very much. I have no doubt once this set drops properly on Arena and we get a chance to really roll up our sleeves and really brew, we're going to find all kinds of other cards that kind of slipped under the radar. This set is loaded with mechanically different, like just very unique effects and abilities across, because all the different planes are represented, so in one way or another, and all of those planes have kind of their own unique mechanical identity, and so we're getting a little flavor of all of that from across the multiverse. So as a result, the mechanics in the set are wild. It's absolutely fantastic, and I have no doubt the brewing will be excellent. I cannot wait. Stay tuned for more when it comes to, decks that I put together, as well as more thoughts on these cards, because I think it's going to be fantastic. Anyway, thank you so much for checking out the video. I appreciate it very, very much. I hope you are having a fantastic day, whatever kind of day it is. I hope it's a good one. Yeah, please like and subscribe. It means the world. And I will catch you on the next one.